Hi all! Today we're going to be talking about the Colbert, the Tier 10 French cruiser in the World of Warships that is available in the Research Bureau. The Colbert is a very interesting ship. Now, its standout feature is its absurdly high DPS. I mean, you have a lot of guns on a very fast reload. It has the most HE DPM of any ship in the game, and it has an extremely high fire chance as well, meaning that provided you are left unattended, you can absolutely rack up absurd damage numbers. However, all this output comes at a cost. Your armor. You got pretty much none of it. Luckily, it's actually thin enough to the point where most ships will actually probably overpen you by accident, and this will actually save your ass quite a lot, but you'll get overmatched by just about anything with an actual gun on it, with only a 16mm bow and nose, and, you know, it's thin. You will just blow up sometimes. Luckily, you do get a speed boost, a slightly improved heal, and a Hydro to help you stop this. You could slot FAA instead of the Hydro, but you know what FAA is like in the current meta, so just run Hydro. In the way of your actual slots, there's a couple different ways you can go here. I would personally always opt for main armament 1 because the other options just aren't useful. In slot 2, go engine room or speed boost mod. Both of them are fine. If you'd rather not losing your engine as much, go with engine room, but the speed boost mod is great because it just increases your uptime on your speed boost even further. In slot 3, I'd highly recommend aiming systems, but if you wish to go for main battery mod 2, you can. It's just a little bit of extra accuracy, never hurt anyone. Slot 4, you can either go for propulsion or steering gears. This one is up to you. I personally prefer steering gears because I play my Colbert much more aggressively than I probably should, but propulsion works fine, especially if you're going to be camping behind islands or cover a lot and you need that engine acceleration. It's up to you, really. Slot 5 should be concealment. If you want to be really ballsy, you could run rudder, but I would personally run concealment. After all, your concealment is relatively good on the thing at 9.8, assuming you have both CE and conceal mod, so I'd go conceal. Slot 6 is a personal preference. If you want extra damage output, go with main battery mod 3. You know, 12% faster reload is very nice to have, and you'll just be further increasing your damage output. On the other hand, the Colbert is severely limited on its range, and I would recommend personally gunfire control. You get 16 kilometers with it, and it's just very nice to have for, you know, farming out battleships that are just a little bit past your range. In the way of your commander, you have quite a few ways you can go here, but personally I take last stand, because if you lose your engine in this thing, you just die. There's no in between, you'll just die. Consumables enhancements is very up to you. I personally like the extra speed boost duration, so take it. You get like 4.5 minutes speed boost if you're running both speed boost mod and consumables enhancements, so, you know, that's a lot of time to be under speed boost. Demo expert is up to you. You could take priority target in its place if you really wanted to, or you could even take something like incoming fire alert and even gun feeder if you really wanted to. But Demo Expert will just increase your fire chance that little bit more and should help you set fires on those pesky little battleships. Heavy HE is pretty free on the ship because you don't suffer the detectability penalty, but if you're suffering for points, it is arguably one of the first skills you can safely drop. Adrenaline Rush is always worth taking, especially if you're running on air, which you should be on the Colbert, because making your HE DPM even better is always the name of the game. Abagno does work here, but you probably won't be getting his benefits too much, and honestly having the AR buff of on air is arguably stronger. Consumables enhancements, or rather superintendent, whatever you want to call it, whatever it's named nowadays, is a must-have. Just, you get an extra heal, you get an extra speed boost, you get an extra hydro, it's absolutely a must-have. Survivability expert is up to you. Personally, I find that given that you already have an improved heal, getting a little bit more HP out of it is very nice, but it is up to you. And, of course, take Concealment Expert. You can run IFHE if you want to, but you won't be improving your penetration that much. Like, you basically the only break point that you'll cross is 25, and realistically you'll be setting fires and farming superstructures anyway, so I personally would not go for IFHE, but you can if you want to. Pretty much most of the other commander skills are just not worth it on the Colbert because it's either too squishy, or just the ship doesn't like them due to its traits. So, we're going to jump into a battle, completely live, for those of you who have not watched one of my videos before, because I've never done World of Warships before. I do these things in one shot, this is all completely live. So what we get is what we get. You know, there's a small chance that I just get dev-struck off the game, and that's going to be real unfortunate, but that's how the Colbert goes sometimes. Other times, you know, you might just have a really good game. I like to consider myself decent in the ship, but you know, sometimes you just misplay. Alright, Haven is a solid map for the ship because you get a lot of good island cover to work around. Unfortunately, super ship CVs are going to be annoying, but other than that, we've got a pretty decent lineup here. Only 2 radars I need to worry about, because if you're trying to work with a div mate and you're running like a smoke Colbert combo, which is brutal if you know what you're doing, radars will just absolutely nuke you, and in general they will absolutely nuke you because, you know, you have that glorious 9.8 detection range. If you make a mistake and you get radared, that's just kind of it for you. So, yeah, we're just gonna play a match. I'm gonna commentate on what happens, you know, try and explain my thought process behind what I do, because the Colbert is a tricky ship. Ultimately, I think it's the most fun ship in the entire Research Bureau, and I honestly believe it should be the first Research Bureau ship you pick up if you don't want something competitive. Arguably, Ohio is a better competitive ship. But the Colbert is absolutely heaps of fun to play. Especially once you get it down, spewing HE at things and racking up huge damage numbers is really, really funny. And if you know what you're doing, you can make it work in ranked and in brawls. For example, in Tier 10 ranked, assuming you know what you're doing in the Colbert, not only do you absolutely destroy destroyers, but because of how much damage you can farm, you can pretty much always save a star if you know what you're doing. So if, say you gotta work through bronze ranked, the Colbert is excellent because you can basically guarantee you're saving the star every match, so long as you know what you're doing. And in that regard, it makes it very easy to play through ranked with. And in brawls, for example the 5v5 cruiser brawl that's currently going on at time of recording, the ship is, provided you do not get deleted by other heavy cruisers, you can farm and rack up a huge amount of damage. And that's really the Colbert's biggest strength. You can farm and rack up huge damages that will slowly whittle down the enemy team. Unfortunately, the Colbert, unless you're killing destroyers or really farming out cruisers, you don't have a whole lot of game impact in it compared to most other radar cruisers. You just simply do not have the detection to make use, like you don't have a radar. Your hydro is only 5 kilometers. It's much more of a personal hydro than an aggressive hydro. Don't get me wrong, you can absolutely get use out of it. But, you know, you're not going to be making big, aggressive plays that are going to be killing DDs in this thing. However, if a ship of yours, a friendly ship, or a div mate, for example, is, you know, using radar, picks up a DD for you, you know, it is a very good team play ship in that regard. Because you can just absolutely melt things. Unfortunately, that's an unfortunate smoke. That might be the Udaloy, or could be the Neptune as well, based on its projectiles. Nonetheless, I'm gonna get out of here. Neptune's a very nice ship to farm because it's a very soft ship, you know, just like most light cruisers. You know, just keep holding mouse 1 on it. You know, that's how the Colbert is. You just kind of keep holding mouse 1 on targets until they explode. And in that regard, it's very cathartic to play. You can also rack up huge amounts of potential damage in it if you play it just as foolishly as I do. But, you know what, I'm gonna just quickly turn down the gun audio just a little bit. Might be a little too quiet, but whatever. It's a lesson for the next video. I'm gonna hydro here just in case y'all are torp, so maybe the Neptune might have sent some out, just a precautionary measure. And now we're just simply gonna kite away and, you know, hold mouse 1. Next to the Colbert's engine boost lasting so long, and it already being a relatively fast ship out of the box, it is very easy to kite away from players with, and the rudder is workable enough to do the same. If you really wanted to embrace the open water Colbert, you could definitely opt for double rudder mod, but that one's up to you. I personally just find the conceal one a little bit more generally useful. Please go away, carrier. So we're just going to farm out this Minnesota because, well, it doesn't look like I'm under any real threat right now because their whole team has neglected to push in. So what we can just do is we can just get the range dialed in on this Minnesota and keep holding mouse 1. As you see, I've already racked up 2 fires, and either he'll DCP or it might be permanent. And if he does DCP, I can just rack up another fire right again afterwards. That's the beauty of the Colbert, because you're spitting so many shells and you have a relatively solid fire chance at 9%, especially for this rate of fire, you start fires a lot. And as a result, you absolutely melt battleships who have poor damage control usage. Which makes it extremely fun to melt down a battleship that's been really annoying your team. That's just the way it is. Unfortunately, it looks like most of our team has abandoned this flank. So we're going to have to play pretty defensively here. which I would personally argue is very good for the Colbert. On a defensive role, this ship works excellently, because as long as people have to push into you, you can just kite aggressively and find good movement and good positioning, and you can farm out damage. It'll look good for your own funny numbers, and it'll look good for your team. That said, you know, you won't have a whole lot of game impact back here, because, you know, all you can really do is just click on battleships repeatedly. Which, you know, while fun, just ultimately doesn't have as much game impact as, say, killing destroyers. How did our Sherman and Neusser Shimmy already die? Okay, that's a problem. I guess we're gonna be down destroyers. I guess I'm gonna have to be the destroyer in the pinch. Alright, interesting. I would like to note that I hit my speed boost right at first contact there, and it's still going on. It's a 257-second speed boost. It lasts a while. And this will save you. Don't get me wrong. Not to mention, the cooldown is on the fairly fast side at only 85 seconds. So you're basically spending 90 seconds for every 4.5 minutes of speed boost, which is not a bad trade at all. You can usually find enough time to disengage in that little bit of time for you to safely recuperate the speed boost and activate it going into the next engagement. Of course, this isn't always the case, but you will have to make do. And this whole flank is dying. That is wildly unfortunate. Well, that's the problem of doing these things live, is sometimes you just don't have, what's the most correct way I can say this for a video? Sometimes you don't have the highest quality of teammates. But, you know, that's how World of Warships go sometimes, and that's why I do these live, because sometimes these things just happen, and you just work with it, you know? I'm just happy I didn't get dev struck immediately and have to re-record the whole thing. That would have been a real tragedy. Alright, I am way too slow, and my speed boost is going down. I really need to get out of here before bad things start to happen. We may be losing ships, but this Minnesota is a pretty free kill for us, because, you know, we have the arcs, we have the raw damage. As long as I set good fires on them, this should be a pretty free Minnesota kill. But, you know, if it doesn't, we make do. There we go, there's our fire. They'll probably DCP it, if I had to guess. There's the Petropavlovsk radar. That's fine, because we don't have any smoke to worry about, and we're already kiting away. Get the Minnesota kill, preemptively hydro, and just swing the rudder around. Unfortunately, I have no backup. Because our CV is not going to do a whole lot, if I had to guess, and our Stalingrad is... I'm not sure what our Stalingrad's up to, and they're Udaloy detonated. Okay, we might be starting to pull this game back. It's pretty mediocre, but we'll see. I would like to note that personally for the Colbert, because you have 5 heals, assuming you take Superintendent, it's a very nice heal to be able to sustain with. You don't need to worry about maximizing your heal as much, simply because you have so many of them and they're improved. So for me personally, if I'm in an engagement like this and I know I'm taking damage consistently throughout the engagement, I'll pop the heal just to guarantee that I have damage I'll just have that heal going over time, just to help mitigate the effects. Unfortunately, the carrier has showed up, and despite the Colbert having relatively solid AA, it doesn't actually matter in World of Warships. So it is what it is. In addition, I'm over-angling against this Petropavlovsk, and I'm probably better off going silent now and healing. And there's steering gear. That's why you take Last Stand, because like most French cruisers, the Colbert does not have a very good rudder. And there goes another gun. Unfortunate. Alright, there we go. Disengaged, and now we just run for our life. Fortunately, we still have 3 heals, albeit in a 45-second cooldown. And another gun goes. Wow, okay. They are small turrets, so even with main armaments mod, you know, you're going to lose them. You could take preventive maintenance if you wanted to help prevent these breakages, but the Colbert is relatively hungry for points. Like, you know, for a really good Colbert, you will need that whole set of 21 points. So, you will have to kind of pick and choose what you want. I used to actually run incoming fire alert on it, because it can be very convenient for preventing you from just getting exploded. But, you know, the build that you like to run is up to you. I would just always recommend taking Concealment Expert, of course, and Last Stand. Alright. So looking at the map, the Petropavlovsk and Nevsky were turning tails, but they're probably going to turn around and come back down through 8-9 line. That Conqueror is probably going to push the middle to try and catch our base. The Avaro is almost certainly going to push through G line as well. So I'm going to move myself probably into this upcoming area right here between these 2 islands. Because then if the Petro and Nevsky push back, I should be able to farm them over the island, and I'll have good vision on the Neptune if it shows up. Same for the Alvaro. Already at 1.28 million potential damage, because, you know, that's how the Colbert plays if you're kiting it often. And 82k, despite the fact I haven't really felt like I've done anything this game. Sure, I absolutely farmed out the Minnesota, but it doesn't actually feel like I've done a whole lot this match. And, you know, you will rack up big damage, and it's pretty funny, but it is kind of hard in the ship to feel like you actually are affecting the game solely because, you know, that's what you're really doing. You're just farming out damage. Unless you really start to see huge numbers come up, or you, like, just whack destroyers out of the game, it will probably feel like that. You know, it's just, you farm. Which is fun. Don't get me wrong. It's just, you know, unfortunate that you can't be as decisive as you can with, say, a good Des Moines radar, a good Petropavlovsk radar, etc. And of course, the carrier decides to show up again to ruin my day even further. We'll see how much damage I take. I do heavily enjoy super ships, and I'm very glad they're in the game. Wow, that was cool. Sure would have been nice if I could have avoided that damage in some regard. I'll try not to let my anti-CV biases get to me. Alright, well, we've got another heal coming up, which is nice, but I'm probably going to save it a little bit, just in case. Still got another minute and a half or so of speed boost, so we're going to try and farm the Conqueror over the island. We're only at a 2-ship disadvantage, but we're rapidly losing map control here. So, we're just going to try and hold back this Conqueror for now, I think. Still 8 minutes in the game, so there's still plenty of time for the game to turn. But we are rapidly losing the map control. And unfortunately, if things don't start to turn around now, we're probably going to just get forced into the corner and farmed out. There's smoke from Pyro Neptune. That's probably the new Neptune smoke. Actually, no, that's the Alvaro. Never mind. Okay, well, I can shoot the Neptune at least, and I'm not getting picked up on anyone's spotting. But even if I did, I have enough range to comfortably use the rudder and the engine boost. And there goes our spotting once again. Oh, and I'm detected, so somebody's pushing through that middle lane, or it's the Neptune. It's probably the Neptune. Yeah, I'm just barely on the Neptune spotting. Okay, that makes sense. Slam the speed, and come on. There we go, get the dodge. Speed juking is absolutely key to surviving in this thing. You know, once you start taking sustained hits, even the good heal will get you, you know, it will eventually run out, and you will die. And if you take too much damage at one time, you will die. So, chip damage is arguably both your weakness and your greatest strength. Obviously, you might just get exploded, and that's that. But if you take too much chip damage, you'll run out of healing, and, you know, that'll be that. But if you can manage the chip damage that you are taking nicely, you know, you can sustain most of it through your heal. It's just a case of not eating too many citadels and not getting absolutely slammed by battleship AP. Or cruiser AP, or even destroyer AP at close range will, you know, make short work of you. Unfortunately, the ship just has no armor to pay for having such high DPM. And this is a situation where I think it should be self-evident why I choose to take GFCS or instead of reload mod. You know, I wouldn't be able to shoot this Conqueror, and there's several players here that I wouldn't have been able to shoot if I didn't have range mod. Sure, that DPS can sometimes be nice from reload mod, but I just find you get more versatility out of range. It is up to you at the end of the day, but, you know, you can always try both, you know. If you're grinding a research bureau ship, you probably have enough credits to be able to safely afford modules and, you know, test things out. Or you have a little bit of doubloons laying around, because they give them up nowadays. So, you know, you should be able to try things out. That said, I do recommend the Speed Boost mod, as I've already stated, just because it gives you so much uptime. Alright, so we're still down through... Oh, we're down our United States. Okay, that's unfortunate. 2 of their players got Combat Scout. That's also supremely unfortunate. Alright, this game is rapidly turning against us. We're down nearly 300 points with only 6 minutes to go, and we're down on ships, too. Okay, we're just gonna have to make this work, I guess. And there's a decent chance I just get smited by the Thunder right now. And maybe not. Okay. That worked out surprisingly well. I was really expecting to get smited by that Thunder into the next dimension. Alas, luck is on my side. Wow, we are really running out of opportunities here. That eagle's gonna tear up our republic, too. Unfortunate. Supremely unfortunate. At least we're kind of slowly deplaning the eagle, but... You know, it doesn't matter, because he's still gonna get strikes off anyway. And our republic's now really heavily hurt, and I doubt he's probably only got one, maybe two more heals left. Probably just one. Alright, we're just gonna try and kill the Thunderer here. Just gonna quick pick on the Thunderer. We've got concealment in our way, we just have to make sure not to eat all that Thunderer AP, which, since we have the speed boost, we can, because most players will tend to underlead the Colbert by accident, not realizing just how bloody fast the thing is. Still detected because of the planes. What fun gameplay. And the Alvaro's in our capture point. Okay. Be cool. Ow. Yep, that happens. That's Conquer AP, and I wasn't paying attention. Unfortunate. What we really need right now is a Stalingrad radar to, you know, he can almost certainly cover the entire... Wow, that Nevsky just got slammed. Oh, that's bad. This might be GG here, lads. This might be GG. Despite the fact that the HE is so good in the ship, I still would recommend loading AP on light cruiser broadsides, simply because you can usually punch through them. That's unfortunate. Okay. Well, you know, I probably could have positioned myself a little bit better. If I hadn't eaten that Conqueror around, I probably would have been able to do a little bit better. But, alas, you know, it is what it is. I tried to put up a fight, and, you know, that's sometimes just how it goes. Sometimes you can't win them all. So... that's how it is. So overall, the Colbert, I think it's absolutely worth the research hero points if you enjoy playing cruises or if you just want something to change up. Unfortunately, it is on the pricier side of things. If memory serve, it's... I'm not even going to rely on memory. It's 57k, so that's about 3 resets, provided you're using the double bonuses. And if you just want a fun ship to play, I think the Colbert is absolutely worth your time. If you want something a bit more competitive, I'd probably opt for the Vampire or the Ohio. But the Colbert is definitely a very fun ship. It just takes a lot of time to get used to, and sometimes you do just get blacked. So, if you're still here, thank you very much, and I will see you again tomorrow.